Hey, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
We are Working Class Nerds.
Cue the intro. That's right. We are Working Class Nerds, a podcast that gives you no information about your favorite information.
Today is Thursday, March 19th, 2020, and you can find this Deathstar Troopers podcast on Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. You can find the both of us on Twitter. I am at MarcusB814.
And I am at Nick Vern, that's NICKVERN. And this week's episode, we're talking to the Deathstar Troopers. All of them.
All of them?
All of them.
Wow.
So in case you somehow forgot, Deathstar Troopers are the members of Marcus's Sunday Night Raid team. So welcome to the show, everybody. Just go ahead and sound off a little hello as I read your name. Welcome to the show, Dr. Swtor.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, Ted.
Hello there.
Welcome to the show, Beaux.
Yo, yo, yo.
Welcome to the show, Slayer.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, Katerina.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the show, Kione.
Hello.
And welcome to the show, Ven.
Hello.
So thanks, everybody, for coming on the show.
Nick will be the moderator of the show tonight. So whenever I get out of hand or somebody does, Nick's in charge. This is Nick's show tonight.
Oh, boy. I don't know if I can handle the power.
So the whole story behind this was I got this grand idea one night that I wanted to have everybody from the raid team on the show because we all talk about raiding via ourselves all the time. And I said, why not put everybody on the show and kind of hype other people who maybe always wanted to try operations but never did. And if they can hear like this crazy group of people, well, there's at least one crazy person on the team. And
I can confirm that.
and have everybody on the show. And hopefully this can show some people that have never tried the other side of the group content to be intrigued to hit that group finder button or find a team and do it. The other thing is this is our first coronavirus podcast where Nick and I are not sitting in front of each other.
Correct. I am currently recording remotely from the 17 Shelby Lane Bar and Grill, aka my my house.
And you know, it's really weird because usually like I can look at Nick and he can tell me like you look like an idiot, or he'll give me the signals of just shut up. So now I'm just going to rely that we have ESP.
Well, I can
Back
still
at the
text
ranch.
you. Yeah, back the back of the ranch. Exactly. Thank you.
So, Nick, who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Kione. What have you been up to this week?
Not working.
Not as most of us aren't.
Well, I work retail, so I should be working, but I haven't been.
I don't blame you. Oh, right, because you've got a bit of a coffee thing happening.
More of sinus infection thingy, and they said go home last Thursday.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Wow. What have you been doing in game?
Nothing. I've been sleeping. I haven't touched the video game since last Monday when I was raiding.
Wow. Are you going through withdrawals?
I am.
I bet. I know I would be. And whenever I go like 2 days and I don't touch my computer, I start like twitching a little bit because it's like my sanity.
Yep. I literally haven't touched my computer besides to do my daughter's online classes, and that's it.
How's that going? From in class to online?
Well, she's in first grade, so it's not too bad. But she has like phys ed and art and music that I'm supposed to go over with her from online, so it's a little awkward.
I don't even know what I would do. Mine's in
I just
preschool
look at
and
the notes.
Yeah. So, Doc, what have you been up to?
Well, I was able to raid on my normal schedule, including last Thursday and planning to raid tonight. And then Deathstar Troopers was on Sunday, and we took down our first nightmare boss, not counting Nephra. I mean, I think Nephra counts, but you and I debated that earlier in the week. So we beat the writhing, not withering,
The
writhing
withering horror.
horror. And
I don't even know what you're talking about.
we ended its writhing. It is dead now. So I also was able to do a little bit of just collecting some easy conquest points. I don't remember what day of the week it was. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday. And I've been playing lots of Jedi Fallen Order, trying to finally pour time into that game so I can add that to what I know about the galaxy far, far away. And I've been working a lot. My materials for my classes have gotten so epic in the last 9 days just by my university converted everything to work from home, everything to online. And it's amazing how much more efficient I am at my job when they don't get in the way. And I don't even mind if they hear me say that on a podcast. So I'm doing some really cool things. I've worked in some Star Wars slides to my lecture coming up in a few days. And just Star Wars has been huge for me last week. That's where I'm at.
And The Rise of Skywalker was released
On DVD /
Well,
digital
digital.
download.
Yes, I was able to grade some papers with that on my iPad in the background. So that was a really neat way my evening went that I wasn't expecting.
I can grade papers for, flat fee.
Would you do it for
It's like-
cartel coins?
I mean, I
Times
get
are
real
hard,
life
yeah.
cartel coins. It's my job. I don't understand the question.
Well, Marcus was asking if Beaux would do it for cartel coins.
Times are hard.
Oh, no, Beau, I'm kind of a control freak on that stuff. I don't want you to misrepresent my judgment.
Oh, don't
He's
worry. Nobody would pass. Nobody.
Listen, nobody passes for him. He's so hard, dude. Oh my God, he'll explain. He's tough, man. I would fail if I had his class.
Well, that's because you'd
Fail
say
in life.
everything is withering when it's writhing.
There's a big difference. Withering is going away. Writhing is like squirming
Or
and
double
worming around.
taunt.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Okay. It's kind of important when it's the name of the boss that you're progging.
Yes, precisely. What
Yeah.
class is it, if you don't mind me asking? Like, or I know you teach more than one, but
Oh, yeah. Well, right now I'm teaching counseling skills, which is
Okay.
about listening and communication and strategically interacting with the conversation to
Okay.
accomplish goals in the back and forth. And then I'm also teaching counseling theories, which is like the backing philosophy behind what you're trying to do in the conversation.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
I was contemplating asking to, I don't know, I guess take the course without taking the course and just submit some papers and see how I would do. But that sounds like I have absolutely no background in that, and it would do very terrible. If
Well,
if
Nick-
it was something vaguely, I don't know, a little more sort of closer to 1,000 level things, I could probably, squeak out like a fake C or something. But I haven't. That sounds a little too upper level for me.
That sounds really fun, though. I'll give you the instruction list, the checkpoints for like the first paper. I'll let you write it. I'll tell you what I think I would give it.
Sure, I would
Yeah.
totally be game for that.
That sounds fun. Don't forget, we have the rest of my team on the podcast, though.
That is true.
I'm getting tired of talking.
So that being said, let's hear about what Ven has been up to this week.
Well, with all the extra time I've had on my hands, I decided to pick up Destiny again, so now I'm playing 3 MMOs at once.
Very
Kinda
nice.
stressful, keeping everything organized and all that, but I'm managing. I'm sitting here playing 8 hours a day of video games. Not healthy, I know, but what can you do at this point right now,
Are you working while you're playing?
Nope. I'm not working at all. Everything's shut down for me.
Wow. So it's video games all the time. That's pretty sweet, though.
Mm-hmm.
I would love, during the day, if I could come home and just turn on the game for like 45 minutes, it would be so nice. But I come home and it's the kids just attack me.
Well, that's just ad life. I mean,
That's nice in its own way, though, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
being
And
dad
if you
is
look
a rewarding experience.
right, if you look in the Deathstar Troopers chat, I posted the picture my kid put the Darth Vader mask on today, or tonight. It was awesome. Anyway, moving on.
so Ted, what have you been up to this week?
Yeah, so I guess for better or worse, I'm actually still able to work and do my job. So it's been sort of I wouldn't say a normal work week, but I've been working out of the house and will continue to do that for the time being. So not as much extra time to video game as I'd like. But in Star Wars: The Old Republic, of course, I raid with you guys on Sunday evening. So we did that past week, as everyone already sort of talked about the writhing horror. That was a whole bit of fun. And other than that, in game, I have been working a little bit of Conquest this week, and I've been practicing my social distancing, trying to keep about 6 feet away from all the other players in game, which is really hard if you want to buy something from the vendors. But
Ha!
Yeah, I
good.
that's
That was
awesome.
good.
I also had an opportunity to update the PTS, and hopefully tomorrow or sometime I'll be able to get there and check out some of the changes that are happening there for 6.1.1.
And just for anybody else out there that knows, this is the only raid team that has 3 podcasters on it. You got Doc from UtiniCast, and Ted is the State of the Old Republic podcast.
Very true. So it's all podcasting all the time.
Well,
Maybe.
sometimes. Although I am planning to, I said this last week too. Oh, I'm going to get one out, this week. But I'm pretty sure that next week I'm looking to get an episode. I mean, it's been a while. I think the last time, it wasn't even just last year that I released an episode. It was last decade. So it's about time to get a new episode out.
Oh boy, sounds good. So Katerina, what have you been up to this week?
My goodness. Well, my kids are all home, so I'm homeschooling 3 kids, a high schooler and 2 middle schoolers, and it sucks as much as it sounds like it does. The only thing that's been really awesome is that everyone's sleeping late, and I just don't care. So we're doing that. Game
What is
wise,
late? Wait. What is late?
well, right now, late means I actually have to wake people up if it's before 10.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's not
So
late.
it's
That's not that late.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm
you
just
know
kidding.
what?
That is late.
Little kids get up really early, so I somehow have just
Oh, yeah.
managed to come out of that as a thing in my life. So that's amazing. And yeah, I'm doing like fractions and stuff and like helping with geometry. I'm like, this is crap. I'm like, I want everyone to go back to school.
Is healing easier than being a teacher, Mom?
I would say it is. It's certainly something I'm more used to. And then I guess in game, I've been playing, I guess, of course, I'm playing Star Wars because that's my main game. And then some Final Fantasy and a little bit of ESO and a little bit of Destiny. So now it's awful. I'm just playing way too many things. I got to
Wow,
focus.
overachieving.
I know.
Yeah, it's nice in a way because a lot of people want me to do things with them, but then in another way I'm like, I don't have a lot of time. I feel like I have less time now than I had before everybody started having all their free time. So it's been a little crowded this week.
I feel like I'm really feeling that, especially more than you, Kat.
Feeling what?
Your
That I'm
lack of
busier?
presence.
I
Yes.
know. I'm super busy. I can't help it. The other thing that happened is that my house is actually under full quarantine because a child in one of my son's classes tested positive for the virus.
Ooh.
So we are officially stuck in my house, like 100%. The
Sure.
health department was like, you can't go anywhere. And then we have to check in. My next check-in with the health department is Monday, I guess.
To like see how symptomatic you or not you guys are.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
Sorry
that's
to
kind
hear.
of sucks. But
So do
that's
you
where
do
we are.
grocery? So do you do grocery deliveries now?
Well, I did on Sunday. No, it wasn't even Sunday. It was Monday early in the morning. I got up and I did like a regular week's worth of shopping. So this week everything is totally normal. And then near me there's like a local, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a local cooperative of farmers of all different kinds, including like meat and poultry. So I signed up with that cooperative. So they're going to deliver to my house on Monday milk, eggs, cheese, and meat. And I already had enough stuff from, just from before. So it will be fine. We will get out of quarantine if we don't have symptoms, or out of the full quarantine. We'll be like everybody else, sort of hunker down or whatever. But at least we'll be able to go to the store again, I think by the 27th. So it's a little stressful to know that you can't go anywhere, but
Yeah, of course.
it's okay.
But at least nobody being symptomatic is, somewhat optimistic.
Well, it's pretty good so far. It's been 7 days since the last contact with school. So
Okay. Well, that's good.
yeah.
Trending upwards. Glad to hear everybody's doing okay. Anything else, Katerina?
I think that's about it. I mean, I'm looking forward to my raid. I raid Fridays and Sundays in the Old Republic, so I'm looking forward to my Friday night raid tomorrow, and of course, hanging out with these guys on Sunday.
Of course. Well, awesome. Thank you. Slayer, what have you been up to this week?
So my business shut down Monday night on governor's orders and everything like that in Simon, Connecticut. So I've been having the fun time of making sure the building's closed, locked up, everything's shut down, like excess food thrown away, all that fun stuff. And then working on getting everyone else kills. Like hopefully this week we're gonna get Doc, Nightmare, Kefis, and hopefully a good chance at Terror in Terror from Beyond and Nightmare. And then hopefully more progress for the rest of the group on Sunday. Other than that, I've just been checking news, checking VODs, playing a little bit of Swtor, not doing much.
I find that the initial break must feel good, but then after that initial okay, now I got to do something, that's where you kick it into high gear on maybe a hobby or a project or some other game. That's how I feel, at least.
Yeah, of course.
Depends on what else you're doing outside of that. Like, can you go out? Can you do other things? Can you do something other than just play games?
Yeah, I feel like you got
That's
to break
true.
it up a little.
Around here, we have a lot of hiking trails and stuff, and so I feel like people are sort of doing that a little bit, purposefully staying away from the people in front of them or behind them. But, there's a lot of walking going on.
Oh yeah, I went to I mobile ordered at Starbucks the other day before work, and I did it before basically right as I got there, so my coffee wasn't quite ready yet, and the two other people waiting in there sort of looked at me all wild eyed, and then took a few steps back. So everybody was 5 to 10 feet away from each other. It was a little. I kind of chuckled, at how cautious the other folks were. So I know what you mean. I'd imagine the hiking trails it's probably similar. Everyone's staying away from each other. But well, awesome everybody. Beaux, last but not least, what have you been up to this week?
Dude, oh my God, my life has been turned absolutely upside down by this whole COVID-19. I'm still at work, but we're I don't know I don't know what you would call it, but we're quarantined from each other, but we're allowed to work with each other. Like no office meetings, no lunchroom breaks, keep your distance. And I'm used to going a million miles an hour normally, and then just this thing has absolutely slowed us down. And so I just what to do. Just trying to stimulate myself. But so with everything just shutting down and whatnot, everything not being open, I have a farm about an hour away from where I live, and because my vet won't be open during normal hours, and he won't do house calls anymore, I have to attend to my animals and play vet. I sent Marcus a picture. Did you get it, Marcus?
When? Right now?
Yeah, like
Oh
a couple
no.
minutes ago. Oh,
Yep.
so
Okay.
I got bottle baby livestock at my house because I'm scared that I can't react and get a vet on site or get them to a vet. So I'm just making the
Is
call,
it?
pulling babies.
Wait. Is that a goat in your living room with a diaper on it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh
Yeah,
my
no,
god.
I'm making the call. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna risk this. I'm just gonna pull the baby and he's coming home. So
That is awesome.
just
So,
doing that.
so is it just the one baby goat, or do you have several different animals in your house?
I have several different animals in my house. Like
Well,
my
what else
house,
you got?
I got chickens. I might have a pig here soon. I don't know. They're not even supposed to be here. Like my HOA is gonna freak out. But I just I'm trying to do what I can without what's the word? You know what you're used to and what you depend on normally has now changed. So you have to rethink your whole operation life.
Of course.
So,
Well,
but anyway,
you,
go ahead.
it's funny you say that because I saw in the news today, like dentist office are all closed, and this one dentist is like, somebody has to be open. What if you crack a tooth or you have a problem?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Like,
I
Yeah.
do understand what you're saying. What have
Well,
you
like
been
my
doing?
nephew.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, my nephew, he's got the flu right now, and they're so scared about seeing a young kid that's sick, can be exposed to something else, or just. And then my parents, they just got back from the Bahamas last Saturday, a day and a half after the president made his address, what, Friday? So we're almost on like a kind of a watch list. Like we're not allowed to go to the doctors because we've been in contact with my parents and it's just hectic. But life
What
will
have
go
you been
on.
doing in game?
Absolutely nothing. I raid with you guys on Sunday nights and that's it. Well, no, I lied. So every now and then, every minute I can, I snuck into the guild, Dark Sanctuary, and they're like one of the top big, what do they call that, big yield conquest guilds. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just try to make conquest on that because it's always been kind of my goal to, what's it called when you have all the planets conquered? What's the achievement called?
Galaxy Conqueror.
That one. I want it. No, and it was nice this past Sunday getting that clear with DST on the Nightmare Writhing Horror. I guess he's asleep. Oh well. But yeah, no, he's passed out. He went to get a drink.
No. Okay, Nick, what have you been doing this week?
So, all right. So I worked. What do we record Thursday? I kind of like this every week podcast thing. By the way, we're keeping it fresh over in Working Class Nerds. So we recorded last Thursday. I worked Friday. I did not work Saturday or Sunday, but I played paintball on Sunday. And I was talking to folks about this in the pre-show. And when you play paintball, like competitively, it's 5 versus 5 with those inflatable bunkers on like a flat turf field, and it's 10 people shooting their paintball guns at 10.5 balls per second, which is really, really, really loud. So you have to yell at the top of your lungs to your teammates to communicate. There's no headsets like there is with Swtor, so you have to scream over the top of all those paintball guns shooting. So come Monday and Tuesday when I was working in the ER, my voice is super duper hoarse and everyone thought I had coronavirus. so I got overly checked out by all my coworkers. I have had no fever this whole week. My lung sounds have been clear. I have not been coughing, no runny nose, no digestive issues, totally asymptomatic, minus the scratchy throat, which has cleared up today, thankfully. Then on Wednesday, I got a haircut, which I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do because I would totally get it. My barber was like, no way, man. You work in an ER. I'm not cutting your hair because I don't want to get exposed, but thankfully he was fine with that. And then this morning, the dentist that Marcus was referring to is the one that I went to, actually. So the office was closed except for my appointment, basically, because last week I was flossing and I have a filling in between two of my teeth. Because when I was younger, I didn't floss ever, and I got a cavity between two of my teeth. And when I was flossing last week, I pulled that filling straight out. So I've been getting like food just jammed up in there, and it's wicked painful, and it was terrible. So thankfully, this dental office was like, sure, no problem. We'll take you. You're asymptomatic. Somebody's got to handle the emergency. So they were all gowned up with N95 masks and everything, and fixed my tooth for me, which I'm super duper thankful for. In gaming news, I've been playing the Call of Duty Warzone expansion, which is pretty sweet. They added a whole battle royale style game mode, which I honestly really like. And then they have another game mode which is in the same vein but a little different. I think it's called Payroll. So let me first talk about the battle royale. It's just like a normal battle royale. You parachute in, all that fun stuff. Teams of 3, or solos, depending on which you pick. And my favorite, you go collect the guns, all that fun stuff. But with the, of course, the circle enclosing as the game timer goes on. So you're limited to your area more and more as the time goes on. What my favorite part is, there's a mechanic where you have an opportunity to respawn once if you can. So when the first time you die, not just get down, like you get down and then actually die, it says you got captured and you're sent to the gulag. So once you're in the gulag, it's this very small 1v1 map in like the bathrooms of this fake Russian prison gulag, and you're given like a random gun, and it's you versus another player that's also died. So whoever kills the other player gets to respawn. So you have this one-on-one opportunity to get back in the game, which is pretty cool. Granted, you lose all of your equipment that you had gathered, but I thought that was really cool. The other game mode, which I think is called Payroll, I don't know if I'm screwing that up or not, but it's also teams of 3, and the objective is, instead of just surviving and killing everyone, it's a race to collect $1 million. So along with all the guns and things that you can collect, your team has to collect money. But if you die, of course, you drop the money, and then you can respawn in as many times as you want. And then periodically, you can either send up these weather balloons, which let you deposit like small amounts of money at a time, or you can call in this helicopter that alerts all the other players that you're doing it, and then the helicopter will come pick up all of the money you're carrying. So
I want to play it so bad. Like I downloaded it and I have it, and I can't wait to play it, just because I do like the battle royale, but I just hate that, like in Apex, they give you like 10 bullets
right
when you land, and like I live by the motto pray and spray. So like that. Oh no, that mode is called Plunder.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you have to get the $1 million. That's a mode for me because it's infinite respawns.
Right.
I totally need to play it, and it's free. It's its own standalone game, so you do not have to own Call of Duty, whatever the newest edition is.
Modern Warfare.
Yep, you don't need to have that game. It's a complete separate download, and
Right.
It's free. But I don't know how they make money on it. There must be like some in-game something to buy.
Yeah, I haven't found that yet, like what the in-game something is, but yeah, I'm not sure. I know you can. Let me finish explaining Payroll real quick. So, not Payroll, Plunder. I got to change that in my notes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you call in that helicopter to take all your money, all the other players in the game get alerted, like, hey, like someone's calling in a helicopter from this position, and it's marked on their map. So I was in a team. You can have squads of 3, but it was just me and another guy how it shook out. And he and I had like $500,000 between the two of us, which is halfway to the goal of $1 million to win the game. We ended up finishing like in the top 10 or something. I think we were like 5th, and we had like 800,000 by the end. But so we call in with like 500,000 left, and all hell broke loose. Like there's people everywhere. Like we had all this stuff to revive ourselves and each other, thank God. But I think each of us like got downed twice, and we had to revive the other person. I think in total we probably got killed like 20 other players that were like coming in trying to get us, which it was crazy. And it was really, really, really fun. I can't wait to play with like Marcus or Al, or somebody that I know and can talk to a little more easily. But so that was really cool.
Dominate.
Oh, also you can, so as you collect money, you can go to these little stations and spend it on certain things. Like you can spend it on kill streaks, or like deployable cover, or you can spend it on, essentially it's like a care package, you can call it like an airdrop that has your loadout from the multiplayer version. So you can, instead of having to use the guns that you found, you can get your tricked out guns from the multiplayer, but you have to call it in as like a kill streak essentially. So as you collect money, you can go spend it at this little station and get your loadout from the multiplayer, which I think is pretty cool because then it's all the stuff that you're used to, not just what you're picking up. So it's pretty cool that it's free. And I will be playing it. So if you feel like playing with me, just hit us up in the Discord. But first, Marcus, what have you been up to this week? How's your social distancing going?
It's awful. I don't listen.
I know. I figured.
So, well, no. I'm listening, but like my shop is locked to me. So, it's just me and the employees, right? And so I'm pretty much distancing myself. It's been a really rough week for me. I lost 5 projects, and they're not lost, they're postponed. A couple of them said like November, a couple of them said indefinitely until this is over. But, these 5 projects have signed contracts. They're just like, look we can't spend the money because we don't know what's going to happen. And that's, I guess, my biggest fear of what's going on in the world is I'm really concerned that, I have a shop that costs money. I have employees that I need to pay. And I'm really concerned on that end. Because, losing 5 projects that was, May, June, July, that's a big deal to me. And I've been trying to sell my ass off, but, it's really hard when, we don't right now, like things are okay, but nobody knows what's going to happen 2 days from now, let alone, a month from now or 2 months from now. The rumor mill is schools are probably going to be closed for the rest of the year.
Right.
So if schools are closed for the rest of the year, I'm pretty sure parents aren't going to be spending money on X or Y, a cabinet or a mantle or a kitchen, they're going to be like, they're going to hunker down and they're just going to, survive.
Well, don't give them ideas on your own podcast, Marcus.
What'd you say?
I said, don't give them ideas on your own podcast. Guys, keep buying new cabinets for your kitchen.
Well, no. I'm just saying it's a worry, right? So you asked me what I've been doing. But the other thing that, the other side of the happiness for me is over the weekend, I got to sit down and we watched, it was like a Star Wars binge weekend with my kids. And, it's funny. My daughter knows The Empire Strikes Back so much that like in Empire Strikes Back, like the Wampa, she can't watch that. She's like, I'll be paying attention to my son. And she'll be like, Daddy, I can't watch this part. So I'll fast forward through the Wampa section where Luke chops the Wampa's arm off and then she picks it back up. So it's really funny. Or like the Rancor in Return of the Jedi, she tells me, Daddy, I can't watch this. And if it's getting to the point where I can't get to the remote, she'll pause it and wait for me. So it's really cool. The other real hiccup I have right now is, so we started to watch the Rise of Skywalker, and I'm really torn because Star Wars is supposed to appeal to kids and adults, and I think they made the Emperor look a little too dark, in my opinion. I understand the point they were going for, but, I don't know what little kid is going to be able to watch the Emperor and not be freaked out that his bones are sticking out of his fingers.
I totally agree.
Okay, so it's really, really dark, and she doesn't want to watch it. She saw the Emperor in the beginning, and I tried to like fast forward as much as I could, and she just saw his face, and she was like, Daddy, I don't want to turn it off. Let's watch The Force Awakens or let's watch A New Hope. So maybe it's that, like, are they appealing to the adults who love Star Wars in that movie? But I just think I think it was just too dark for the Emperor, because even in the theater when Nick and I were watching it on opening night, I turned to him and was like, oh my God. And he was creepy.
He was definitely creepy.
And then
I thought so too.
And then at the end, like when Rey becomes a marauder because it's the greatest class ever, and she marauds the Emperor to nothing, like the whole like melt the skin thing, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that feels like this, but your kid can't watch that. Even if your kid is 10, your kid can't watch that.
Yeah,
that was intense.
That's too.
That's intense. And especially your kid watches that at 7:00 at night and your kid goes to bed at 8, it's going to give the kid nightmares. I don't know. I just feel like
totally
the Emperor,
agree. It's too
The
much.
Emperor, yes, it is too much. I think they went above, above and beyond for how dark they made the Emperor. They could have just had his eyes and not have cataract eyes, and it would have been fine.
But
My
I
opinion.
think I would like to just comment back. It's a PG-13 movie, so as far as that entire complaint, Disney would be like, "Oh, so your daughter's not 13? And then it's Raiders of the Lost Ark. Get melted by the Ark of the Covenant, and maybe it's different graphics, and there's more things done with prosthetics on a actual human actor instead of like melting down a wax figure of the character. So like the effects are different, and also the surroundings of Palpatine are designed to be a Sith temple horror show kind of set. And I think if you take Ian McDiarmid as he's done up in the makeup in those scenes and put him in a well lit room, he's actually not that bad. It's the ambiance of the temple, and also John Williams and Matthew Wood creating how you feel by controlling the sound.
I again, I agree, but they're trying to sell. Like Disney World is trying to sell lightsabers and kids watching their movies. No parent, even maybe I'm wrong about a 13-year-old, but no parent is going to let their kid watch that movie if they saw it first.
Right.
They're
Well, I
supposed.
mean, the morally bankrupt ones will.
Okay, but still, well,
and also
I
the
don't know.
ones where
Most of
Star
America.
Wars trumps the desire to control content, right? Like some people will watch it just because it's Star Wars. So like I can't filter out Star Wars from my child's life, but we're not watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, just to tie back to my original example.
What
As
were
the
you saying,
voice
Claire?
of the only person here who actually works at a movie theater, you're gonna have a lot of parents who take their kids to see it, unfortunately. And this is part of the problem you get from PG-13 came out in 1984, whereas the original movies were PG and there wasn't a PG-13. And now you get a new time where they're pandering to the older audience, trying to get them into it instead of the kids, because you had the kids hooked with Episode 7.
Well, how do you think it compares to Revenge of the Sith, where you have, Anakin's whole immolation scene at the end, and then even in the beginning when he chops off Count Dooku's head in his hands? I mean, that was pre-Disney. I mean, that was back when George Lucas was making these films, and you could argue that those are, perhaps
So I
more
watched
visceral than-
I watched Revenge of the Sith with my daughter, and when he killed Dooku, they don't show the head get chopped off. They show him holding it to his neck, and then the scene comes off of that, and then he drops dead. Like they don't actually show it, where like Rey is marauding Palpatine's face in that movie. So in Slayer, that's a great point. There's not many PG movies anymore, or even G-rated. When was the last G-rated movie?
It's been a long time since I've seen a G-rated movie at a theater. Every kids movie now is PG, it seems like.
Wow. Yeah. So
because the lawyers are like, if you get PG, then that's the new everyone can watch it, I think. And also PG-13, you get one F-bomb, you get like PG-13 in 2020 and 19 is not PG-13 in 1999.
no, it was R.
Yeah. So I think that's important to understand. Like the way things are marketed too. I remember as a parent, I didn't work in a movie theater at this time in my life, but people were taking their kids to Deadpool and getting upset, which is rated R. And it's just like it's a comic book character. And so that was my point about Star Wars. Like, oh, it's Star Wars. So Star Wars is PG-13 is not scary to 5-year-olds. And I don't want to belabor the point because we probably have a lot more to talk about, but it's a really interesting topic too.
So anyway, so something else that this week happened is I learned something. I learned how to achieve something in game from making mistakes. So I've talked about it a million times. I've switched to a tank, and we went to the Writhing Horror in Terror from Beyond, and it's the first boss. And they say it's probably one of the easiest bosses. Whatever, it's still Nightmare. But my point is I was making critical mistakes, and I was causing the group to wipe. And Slayer pointed it out that I'm like, what is happening? And he's like, Marcus, you're messing up. Like straight up, you're messing up. Something you're doing is wrong. And I had to figure out, because somebody can tell you what you're doing wrong, but until you figure it out for yourself, you can't. I'm not helping the team. I'm actually hurting the team. So each pull, I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? What am I doing wrong? And then when it clicks and you realize, holy shit, I'm not doing X, it changes everything. And then I fixed it. And now it went from a tank issue to now the DPS has to do their job, or the healers have to do their job. And I'm not picking on anybody. What I'm saying is, for me, I feel like I achieved something in my own gameplay on Sunday, and I feel really accomplished for it because I figured it out without somebody telling me, hey, you're doing this wrong. So I feel like maybe I'm learning my class better, or I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just learning more. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
To be fair, I also told you just calm down, slow down, and focus on what you're trying to do, not everything else.
And you know what? And it's so true, because the first pull, the night when we were at the Withering Horror, I was calm. We were cool, and we got pretty far in that first pull. I think we were at 23% or 15% or something. It was amazing for me for the first pull, because I've never really done Nightmare at all. And then, then I got all nervous because for anybody that doesn't know, and the team will probably admit it, and it's not all about me, but I'm very hard on myself, and I blame everything on me. Like it's my fault that this is all happening. And, it stinks because I want to just be better. So, but I achieved that. And this is my selfish side of me talking, because I fixed my issue during the night. And that is a huge accomplishment for me in tanking and in the game, because before it was just smack things around. I never, if I did shitty DPS, as Beaux will tell you, it was shitty. I now, as a tank, I have to do my job. There's only 2 of us. There's not 4 of us, so I can't be carried by 3 others. I got asked to join that team that I tried out for a couple weeks ago.
Congrats. The Nightmare Rated team?
Yep. So they're a Nightmare team, but they said that 4 of the team members don't have the hard mode or veteran mode Gods clears. So they said that's a great entry level for the team before they jump into Nightmare, because it's Nightmare level, but it's a little more forgiving. So I'm excited that this Saturday night I'm going to hopefully kill Vele and Esne. Then my good friend Steve has been dragging me into Rimworld a lot. And that is just, it's a shit show. It's a colony. It's a colony sim game, and it's just ridiculous. But anyway, the last thing I want to say is the console wars are coming out, and they released the specs for the Xbox One X versus the PlayStation 5.
Yep.
The Xbox One X blows the PlayStation 5's hardware away.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty drastic difference.
And it's in the game rendering and all that stuff. Like out of the gate, the Xbox is a better system, and the rumor is that the PlayStation finally got the clue that their controller sucks, and they're moving the analog stick to where their D-pad is. So it'll be more like a Xbox controller.
Right. But so I had a photo that turned out to be not confirmed or anything like that of what I thought was the controller, and I sent it to Marcus and got all excited. But there's rumors accompanying that photo that it's going to look something like that. So I'm pretty interested in it.
So in the interest of time, because we're moving along, in Swtor news, they posted, if you go to the website, they posted a bunch of conquest changes We're not going to read word for word or verbatim. If you want to, I would just check out the patch notes. They're basically saying that Conquest is going to change. So if you're level 10 through 49, you're going to have specific rewards. If you're levels, what's the next tier? 50 through 70, you're going to have your own rewards. And then if you're 71 to max level, which is 75, you're going to get the maximum rewards. I'm not really keen on these changes myself, because I feel like if you level so fast, you could start the week at level 1, but by the end of the week be level 70, but you're stuck at the level 1 rewards because it's not going to tier until the next week. So other than that, in AIE news, Nick,
Last week we had a mega. That's a monthly Epic Guild activity, and I believe you guys did a world boss hunt, and it was great. Tell me about it, Marcus.
so we did a world boss hunt. It was great. All the AIE officers that could make it, they actually helped a lot and planted tunes. I think we almost killed every world boss in the game. Some people got this purple mount because they already had the 3 Nightmare Pilgrim kills. I'm starting working to this now. Now this one log of getting this mount is driving me crazy in my mission log. Thanks, Kat. And now I want to get this mount even though it's ugly because now
You're welcome.
yeah. So so thanks to all of the officers that helped, and it's really fun to do it because how often do you go around and just kill all these world bosses? The other thing is there's a boss in Corellia called Lucky, and he's like this big monster or whatever. But if you take off all of your gear and you let him kill you, you'll get a title that's called Unlucky. And then if you kill him, you let him kill you, you get the title Unlucky. And then if you kill him, you get the title Lucky, which is pretty sweet. It's just like little things in the game that make it special. I enjoyed it, but we didn't have time to do the Nightmare Pilgrim or a big enough group because the way I understand it is you need to have like a full group to kill it. I'm not really sure, but now I have to kill it 3 times because I want that mount so that can get off my log.
I will totally come with you because I still need to kill it, I think, twice.
All right. Next month, Corley will be hosting the Mega, and he's going to be doing an amazing race. So if anybody knows what the show is on TV, you're going to be able to kind of come with us. You do not have to be in the guild to do it. We're going to tour the galaxy and do some fun things, and the prizes are going to be really amazing. I think we have a black die pack left, some cartel coins, and maybe if we have enough people, I'll do a 30-day sub code. Speaking of cartel market items, Nick, do you want to tell everybody about our contest?
Yes. So if you're listening to this and you remember our contest, you can go ahead and message Marcus the code phrase that I almost kind of sort of forgot. Marcus, what's our code phrase again?
It's Boomba. So this week's code word is Boomba. So the way it's going to work is last week you will have to go back to listen to episode 68 and get the first catchphrase, and we'll have one more
next
week for the next episode, the big episode 70. And if you've entered all 3, you're entered to win any single item from the cartel market. You can have anything you want.
So no crates or packages, but any single item
Right.
from the cartel market is yours. If you get
Correct.
if you message Marcus on Twitter with all 3 code phrases. So this
That's
week this week's is Boomba. It's BOOMBA.
And you can find me on Twitter. I'm at MarcusB814, or in Discord. Well, you're going to have to go to aie-guild.org and get the info, and then find me in Swtor and direct message me there.
Hey, and if all this sounds fun to you, go to aie-guild.org, jump in the Discord like Marcus was saying, and ask for a guild invite, because whether or not you play Swtor or any of the other games we play, we'd love to have you. We're talking about any of the other games. So if you play Call of Duty and you want to play the new Warzone expansion with me or Marcus, jump in the Discord and ask for an invite.
Woo, Nick, I know you definitely have to use the bathroom.
I for sure do. So we'll be right back.
Jeez, Nick, hurry up. We're trying to finish this podcast.
And we're back. So today we're discussing operations, particularly in Star Wars: The Old Republic, with none other than an operations team from Star Wars: The Old Republic. So I wanted to, or Marcus and I should say, wanted to go around and ask each of you like a series of questions, and everyone can kind of sound off and give your take. So, what got you started in operations? Starting with Beaux, since you went last, you'll go first this time. What got you started with operations specifically?
RPing. So I was on one of the original servers, Begarin call. Begarin. Begarin.
So role playing.
Yeah, real talk. So I was on the server called Begarin Colony. It was one of the RP servers, and I joined this guild called Knights of the Old Republic. And I was like the only trooper, so they're like, "You're gonna head up the trooper squads and all that jazz." And I was like, "Well, it'd be kind of cool if we do some things like for initiation, like missions and stuff." Like, well, let's do an op. So we had all Jedi. I was the only trooper, so we had a Sage healer, and then no, we had two Sage healers, and then the rest were either Guardians or Sentinels. And I was just like, "Oh God." So we spent like 4 or 5 hours in Eternity Vault, and you think the puzzle would probably be the easiest part because you just plug and play on the internet. No, that was like the longest bit of my life. I was like, oh God, this is kind of cool. It reminds me of like God of War with the puzzles. But eventually, I transitioned from a shitty trooper tank and to a shitty sage healer, and then to a shitty sniper. And then they were like, "You're like our top DPS," and I pulled up a parse, and I was like, "No, I'm not." And so I was like, this is my moment. I have to prove that I am top DPS. That's when snipers were in a really good spot, DPS wise. Engineering, that was my spec. Is that too long of an answer?
Not at all. That's a great
Simple
answer.
questions, complicated answers.
Working class nerds.
Working class nerds. So is that the only question?
Oh no, we've got three. Well, we'll go through each one. Everybody for each one first.
All right.
So, let's go with Ted. What got you into operations?
Well, for me, I mean, I've been playing the game since launch, so I knew I was going to run operations from day one. So really, like my love for raiding kind of dates back to probably 2006, 2007, whenever Burning Crusade came out in World of Warcraft. So I played a ton of World of Warcraft before Star Wars: The Old Republic, and just really fell in love with the whole idea of raiding. So I knew when Star Wars: The Old Republic, they were going to have operations, their equivalents for raids, that I was going to want to do that. I wasn't sure at that time, though, if I wanted to do the harder stuff. Like I wasn't necessarily going to be into running, I guess, hard mode or nightmare mode or whatever it is they call them. That simple change of changing the labels is just like screwed everything up. No one knows what to call these things. At least I don't. But ever since I started doing that with Deathstar Troopers, I love it. I like the challenge of, working as a team and trying to defeat these harder bosses, and that comes with running in the operations. I like the teamwork and it just being able to hang out and do stuff with people you like and people you know. I mean, it's kind of like going to your corner bar in a real virtual way. So that's what I like operations.
I totally get that. Go ahead.
I call it my bowling night.
Your bowling night?
How am I going to tell people, oh, what are you doing Sunday night? I got a bowling thing with the buds.
Because you're ashamed of us?
It's easier to explain, that's for sure.
I'm kidding.
Have fun storming the castle.
So, Slayer, what got you into operations?
So that what got me into operations is probably around the time when the servers first merged. I started running ImpSide after joining a guild pub side and joining their branch on ImpSide. I ended up just kind of falling into tanks role because I saw like a lack of tanks everywhere. And I started with that guild running flashpoints because, hey, I was their first tank, so you need a tank to do that. And so I am running flashpoint after flashpoint after flashpoint. And this is back when flashpoints actually gave you gear to get you to start operations. And eventually got to the point where, okay, these are a cakewalk. So what's the next step? The next step became operations. So from there, jump into operations once we get 8 people. From there, start in story mode, then go to hard mode. And then, oh, Nightmare's coming up. This is Rise of the Hut Cartel. Okay, start Nightmare. And from that, it's just been kind of keep going, progression, progression, progression. I just haven't stopped.
Have you cleared them all?
So the only Nightmare operation on live that I haven't done is Gods from the Machine. And that one was kind of people kept falling out of my team, falling out of my team. And at this point in the game's life, I don't care about pushing Apex content hard. I care about playing with people that I like and enjoy and making it a fun experience while trying to do the hardest difficulty.
That makes sense. Katerina, what got you into operations?
So, my goodness, I don't even know. I'm also a launch player. I played for a while from launch. Then I got really busy with my kids and stuff for about a year and a half, 2 years. It was pretty intensive. I have twins. And then I started playing again, and before this game, I never played an MMO before. So I didn't even have any idea how the game worked. I didn't know like what a Trinity was. I didn't know what my job was. I didn't know anything. So then after like some amount of time, I joined a guild, and this one player in the guild was like, "Why don't we do a flashpoint?" And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, "Oh, just come with us. It's going to be fine. Like, I'll explain everything." And they did. And it was like, oh, this is like a whole different thing. So then, I sort of learned how to do that. And actually, Marcus, you'll get a kick out of this, but I used to main a Marauder.
Yes.
So I was a Marauder then. And then the guild that I was in seemed to need healing more often. They were often looking. So I was like, well, let me just try to level a healer. So I did. And that was when I became Katerina. I was Bianca before. But anyways, like, so then I started healing, and I seem to be pretty good at that. And I don't know. We started raiding, and then like maybe like the second or third thing I did, we did the dreadful entity. And nobody died, and that was awesome.
That is awesome.
And but then I didn't really get into it too much because I don't know, it just was a little bit much. I felt like I didn't like the guild I was in at the time, like they would like inspect us really a lot, like for our gear and things and this and that, and you would get like yelled at a lot, like if something happened that didn't go well. And then I stopped raiding for years, like years on end. I just didn't, and I pretty much only played PvP. And I had a bunch of friends that I really liked, and we hung out together for a bunch of years, just relaxed doing PvP. And then like last year, for like whatever reason, I decided in about April that I was going to join a team and I was going to start over, but that I absolutely was like, I am not going to be doing any of this stuff with anyone that I think is toxic. And if I think they're toxic, I'm going to let them know. So I joined a team last April. I'm still playing with that same team. It is no talks. It's great. And then, you guys asked me, and I know I was a little hesitant because I'd had some really negative experiences, like playing with people that I didn't know. Like I've been very quiet in my little corner of Swtor playing, whatever. So I'm super glad that I decided to say yes to this team because I do feel like we're also a very low toxicity, high patience team. And that's kind of what I need to learn. So I appreciate it.
I'm very anti-toxic people. Like I try to explain this to people And was trying to explain it to Nick before he ever came into an op, and I come like it takes 8 people to win. And if 8 people aren't doing their job, you lose. And somebody getting bent out of shape or mean to somebody else, well, you're not going to be a good fit on this team. And I think I've made that very clear. Maybe a little more lately than before, but if you're toxic, you're gone. I don't want to bring the team down because I enjoy having all of you around. And yeah, we might get frustrated, but
Of
it's
course.
still
That's
we might get
different.
frustrated. Yeah, but being toxic is a different story.
100%. I get that. You need to have like a respect for each other and a sense of trust that everyone will at least try their best to get everything done in order to be successful. So I get that. If you have people freaking out and just blowing their top over things, that's not an environment anybody can really thrive in. So I totally get that. That being said, Marcus, this question also applies to you. How did you get started in operations, or did you want to go last?
No, it doesn't matter to me. So like I said, I was in a guild before I was in AIE, and then I started listening to Max and Seema's podcast, and they said on there, hey, one of our operations teams is looking for a DPS, no experience required. Come learn how to play the game. And I was like, well, should I not? And so I jumped into their Discord, and Jana was the raid lead, and she said that, just come. And we did the Eternity Vault, because they said no matter what, if you've never done an op, your first one should always be Eternity Vault.
I think mine was. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it absolutely was. And the feeling you get when that first droid comes down and you've never done it before, it blows you away. And everybody in the group probably has that moment of the first time they saw an operation, whether it was EV or whatever their first one was.
Mm-hmm.
Or for me, because I never played an MMO before this, I was blown away. And from that moment, I was hooked. And then, I don't know, 2 years ago, a year ago, it got to the point where story mode was, too easy. And I wanted to progress into the harder stuff. And then that's where Deathstar Troopers has taken us. Who's next, Nick?
How about Kione? How did you get started in operations?
I was a player at launch. I was part of Hellbent on the pub side, and I was actually a shadow over there. And my first operation was actually EC. And we made it through, and then they started hard mode, and they didn't want to melee in the group. So I got shoved aside because my DPS was worse. So I went imp side, and I played a Sork, and I've loved my Sork ever since. And I then joined another guild, and they started just doing operations from there. And then I met Marcus, and he introduced me to a Wednesday night group, and I've been raiding with them. And then he asked me if I was interested in healing his Sunday group, and I tried out, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
That's awesome.
Well, we're glad you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
So, Ven, how are you doing over there?
In Tornado Town.
Right.
I'm
Still
surviving.
haven't gotten blown to Kansas yet?
Nope.
How did you get started in operations?
Oof. Okay, so I started playing Tor in 2013, 2014. And this is going to be embarrassing to say with Marcus being here, but I started my raiding career in KP on my lowly little Marauder.
Yes!
Ha!
You guys are killing me.
What does the Marauder have to do with Marcus? I don't get it.
It's his favorite class.
He
So
doesn't.
the-
He's still a marauder on the inside.
It's where he learned that it's okay to be carried through every single op.
Oh
man.
I'm on fire right now. I got burnt.
Yeah, Daco was good. Anyway,
Thank you.
So yeah, we cleared KP, I think, with minimal issues, and then at the time I was a dueling freak, so like I avoided most PvE content and all that. And then it was in that little period I got frustrated because I couldn't beat tanks in duels, and then that got to the point where I was like, if you can't beat them, join them. So I went to the superior class of the Sith Warrior, the Juggernaut.
Hey.
I picked up tanking, and I picked that up through dueling, and then 2016 I got sort of serious in doing SM raids, just your basic things. I was still terrified of like explosive conflict for whatever reason, and Temple of Sacrifice and Ravagers. So then I was kind of avoiding those and doing the easier ones for a time, and then I met Kat, 2018, and then I eventually joined her guild, and that's when I started doing like all of the raids, clearing all of the raids, like learning the raid mechanics and all that. And then I was doing that for a while. And then I picked up an HM team briefly early 2019, cleared a few of those as a tank, and then 6 months ago I picked up DPS, found out I was pretty good at that too, and then November, December, Kat finally aggravated me into trying out for this team called Deathstar Troopers, and I tried out, and then it was a good fit, and here we are now. March cleared almost all the HMs.
Congrats. That is awesome. All right. Last but not least, Dr. Swtor, what got you started in operations?
Well, basically it all started for me by accident. The group finder dropped me into Dread Palace during 3.0, and when you get that tone, it's like duh, duh, on the screen, and the window that was there for me to click okay, I'm ready to join this, it didn't have 4 people. It wasn't that slim tall rectangle in the middle of the screen. It was this wide 16 people thing. This is back that period of time where Group Finder Ops was stuck being 16 people. So I said, I don't even know what this is. Went into Dread Palace. I met this person I would later come to understand as Bestia. And Bestia proved that I am not the Bestia at all. She killed us every single time. And I was like, whoa, but that was so cool. So I had no idea what a rotation was back then, because I had just been doing flashpoints, and I had done some of the hard modes, and I felt like if everyone in the group is at least as good as what I can do in these flashpoints, we can beat the hard mode version of them. But like strategically, if I watched a video of that version of me playing now, I think I would throw up. So a couple weeks later, I kept trying to come back. I tried to get back in. I didn't understand that it's more effective to go on the fleet and get your group before using the group finder. So I was completely disconnected from other players helping me to understand how to play the game more efficiently. It was just me playing the same way that I have since launch. This was during my doc program. It was I don't know, I would guess maybe 2014, 13, something like that. And I got into Dread Fortress, and this group had made it to Draxus. So I didn't know what Nephra was, but I got to try Draxus twice, and then the people started being really mean to all the players and saying we have no hope and I have better things to do with my expletive time. So, I realized, oh, okay, so I really do suck. I had no idea what was going on with Draxus. And So then I realized maybe I should read up on these. Where should I start? Karaga's Palace, Eternity Vault. So I would just get my real life friends who had characters in the game, and we would go into these level 50 ops and just mess around and realize that, even being level 55 for our tunes, we can learn a little bit how these fights work playing against level 50 bosses, which are so weak. Like, we would have a really good chance to see what the fight's all about. And so eventually I got more and more of my real life friends to jump into the game. We all basically love Star Wars anyway, so it wasn't, I just had to be persistent and get them to join me. And then, so my wife was originally a Marauder on my team, and one of our friends from high school created a Marauder for that team, and my friend from work started playing the game, and she created a Marauder on the team. And my friend from high school who went to Florida State, so we had separation in our friendship physically, but he decided to jump in, and his future wife, they both created a mercenary, and then his wife created the other healer, and we both Sork healed on that team. So I had 3 Marauders, a Merc, my sister was tanking, and we had another person who was tanking. So now we have 8. And story mode was so hard back then. I had no idea that part of my problem is I need to encourage people to play better. It was just like, how do we beat this? And I remember us progging story mode, and one day we beat Temple of Sacrifice, and it felt huge. And it was story mode. But I think story mode was a little different then than it is now, definitely, especially with the way gear works. But a couple years ago, I moved to Arizona, and so now every friend that I have has that physical barrier. And this really loud, happy, fun guy named Marcus said, "We're doing Dread Palace, and we need a healer." And I guess this Marcus person knew me from, Utini Cast or showing up for a few random AIE things. So I wrote a Word document that just took all the things I could find online to explain each of the fights. So, like, I took Dolphy, I took some other things, and I blended it into my own Word document, sent it out to the whole team. I told Marcus, I can get us through Story Mode Dread Palace. We beat Story Mode Dread Palace. So then he twisted my arm and made me agree to come back next Sunday, and we did another one, and then another one, and so then I became part of Deathstar Troopers within a month, like a permanent one, not just someone who would show up when I had a free Sunday. And it's been a really great ride. I mean, I never thought I would accomplish a lot of things. I remember that Oricon story ending with the weekly mission and saying, well, now you got to go to Dread Fortress if you want to know what happens next. And I was like, oh, I'm never going to know what happens next. And well, now I have the Wings of the Architect. Eventually I met Slayer and joined Evil Intentions. So now I have Deathstar Troopers and Evil Intentions. And both teams are playing content that I remember thinking, I'll never get there. I have to write this research study. I have to graduate from my doc program. I have to teach my classes. I'm never going to get there. But I've been working really hard too, just to, I'm a DPS now, and I pay attention to the Parsley leaderboard sometimes a little bit too much. And I always think I can do better, which is not for everyone. But I think even if you don't have that mentality, there's so much in operations that you can enjoy. And with story mode, it's a great ride to have 7 people come together and just do a little bit together. It's the closest thing to playing a sport that I have in my life. Like, I'm proud of other people on my team when they do something new, get us a little bit further. I try to rise to the challenge when they need me to kill something faster. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. And it's just, it's a rush. I love getting to play the game in a way where I'm not just guaranteed to win. And it's been a really good thing for my psyche and the way I connect with the game.
So I think Doc answered our next question, Nick.
Yeah,
without even asking it, because it just comes out organically.
What we wanted
I
to ask
agree.
was, now that you guys are all playing on a team, what part of operations keeps you playing? And obviously, Dr. Swtor, you just mentioned what keeps you going, that camaraderie and things that you were speaking to. But we'd like to hear from the other folks as well. What keeps you all sticking with operations after you've started a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away? Starting with Slayer, what keeps you going with operations?
To me, operations are one of the most fun parts of the game because it's a reliance on execution of mechanics. You have to do things right in order for you to win, and if you aren't doing them right, there's always the opportunity for you to do it better or find ways to get it to work. And then it's also playing with the people that I do. If I didn't enjoy playing with them, I'd probably stop. I don't really want to go and look for brand new people, like multiple groups now at this point in the game. It's just not worth it to me. I've done most of the operations, I've done them at the top level, and it's just not an investment of time I want to do unless it's with people I enjoy playing with personally.
That makes sense. So, how about Fen? What keeps you going with operations?
I think the biggest thing for me is obviously I'm a one trick. So, I like to think that I'm good at my craft. And I think operations are just a good challenge for me to be able to prove that to myself that, I'm good at my craft and I can play Jug to the best of my ability and I can do things with it. Like you can clear things and that sort of thing. And then the camaraderie. I've been pretty lonely in my tour career as I'm just a dueling freak, and I didn't really have many friends before these last couple years, and now it's like I have a lot of friends, and it's kind of fun to be able to hang out and have a good time and do things together. And yeah, it's very refreshing compared to the last 5 years I've been playing this game. And yeah,
I getcha. How about let's hear from Kione. What keeps you going with operations?
Pretty much what everyone's been saying. Like getting together with people you like to play with. If you don't like playing with them, you're not gonna want to do it. Like this group is great. Everyone they can make you laugh, and if we wipe, no one really gets upset. So everyone just has fun doing it. And yeah, you get a little frustrated that we can't get past something, but we eventually have been getting past it. I also like to prove that I can hold my own in a fight when I'm trying to keep people alive. I like seeing that, hey, this person's almost dead. No, look, we got him up. Like Kat and I work very well together, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm realizing now that we're probably going to get similar answers from everybody, but that's okay. That's part of.
It's the point.
Yeah,
it's so that people can hear that we are signing in to do this for a reason.
Right. So speaking of which, Kat, what keeps you going with operations?
Well, last year when I decided I was going to actually join some teams, I had told myself I was going to clear all the HMs. I was like, that's what I'm doing. And I actually told myself I was going to quit this game after I finished that. But I have found that I like the team so much that I don't think I will. I think I will keep going. And I like, as Kione was saying, I do like getting to that point where your team has synergy and where you know the people and you're trusting that they're going to do their job and they're going to trust you the same way. And I do think like we're not quite there yet with this team, but I think that we could be there without too much longer to go. Like right now, I think we run really well, but mostly I think on like the brute force of our talents and not necessarily like the finesse of trust. So I think we'll get there, and I'm interested to see that. So I think that's what keeps me coming back.
That's awesome. Beaux, I want to hear from you as well. What keeps you going with operations?
Kind of like what Vince said, just proving it to myself. I've always wanted to get all the clears, and I've accepted I'm not going to get them in, really fast. Back when I first started, I was like, oh, it'll be fun, just something to do. And then the challenge, like Kat said, of getting all the hard modes, and I was like, I'll probably never be nightmare material. But now, it's a game changer with, like she said, the synergy of the group. And then I'm a social butterfly. I love, the relationships that I have with the people here. I don't have a relationship with everybody here, but it's it's a good little seed with some, and it's big and boisterous with others like Marcus. We're buddies.
Wait, who's boisterous?
Uh, Loud. Is that a good synonym, Doc? Noisy,
Yeah,
talkative.
I think you forgot to Marcus filter your word selection.
Okay. Like one syllable, or is too many?
Well, this is one of the most fun parts of raiding, actually, Nick. I want to just point out, like
Sure.
We talk
joke
smack.
with each other, and there's little things that I really love with our communication during an op. Ven and I, in particular, have taken up this Legolas and Gimli kind of competition with our DPS numbers, and it's just fun banter. It keeps that social part of playing a game, but also gives us a goal that happens through the social part. Like, not only do I need to connect with people or shut up when it's time for me to focus, but the teamwork. Like, I need Marcus and Slayer to do something that I cannot do. And I need Kione and Katerina to do some other things that I can't do. And then in the middle of all that, like, we're having fun and we're joking, and um, it's one of the coolest parts of my week. Every week.
It seems like sort of as we're going through here, everybody's rating with Deathstar Troopers is a highlight for everybody's week. It seems like, but let's round out the list here. Ted, I'd like to hear from you. What part of operations keeps you playing so often?
Well, first, I mean, it's Marcus and the team inviting me back to come and play every week, which I appreciate. Now it's a fun team. I mean, everyone's already talked about, how much they like the team and the group. And what I like about this particular team is there's a decided lack of finger pointing, right? No one plays the blame game. Everyone just sort of accepts that we win as a team and lose as a team, and everybody knows, what their responsibilities are, and they understand, that everyone, tries to get better each and every week. And I mean, so that's what I like about playing on this particular team. In terms of operations in general, what I love about operations is that, it's, for me, it's like a team sport, right? I mean, it sort of replaces some, think about playing basketball or any kind of like athletic sport. And to me, operations are like that. You have to work as a team. You're trying to learn the mechanics and figuring out what your strategy is to beat the boss as a team. And then as an individual, you're trying to figure out how to maximize whatever it is that your role is. Whether it's, trying to do as much damage as you can, or even just staying alive and trying to take as little damage as possible to help the healers out. So it's just sort of like that whole team concept and that team sport. That's just one of the things I love about operations in general.
I think that's a common theme through everybody that's talked about it so far. But I know Marcus is dying to chip in, and I know he wanted to go last for this one. So the man who started this whole squad here, Marcus, what keeps you going with operations?
It's, for me, I'm a dad, right? So before it was, get out of work and go hang out with your friends, and then you evolve into getting married, and then you have kids and young kids. And when you have young kids, you're home all the time. And, I want to be home. And what's great for me for operations is my night doesn't start until 9:00 at night, or 8:30 at night, I should say. And kids are in bed, and it's almost like Beaux, what he said earlier, it's his bowling night. It's absolutely that. But something that is better for me is sometimes when you're having a tough day and your day is just shit, you can go into our Deathstar Troopers Discord, which all the raid teams have their own Discord, and you may say something just dumb or something ridiculous, and it starts this train of conversation that just brings a smile to your day on the toughest of days. And then when Sunday comes, you wake up Sunday morning, you're cooking breakfast, you're hanging out with your fam, and everything is going on, and then you're realizing, like, oh, okay, it's 4:30, I got 4 hours. Oh, it's 5:30, I got 3 hours. You know what I mean? And then just that countdown time to come together for those 2 hours, to play together, that's what keeps me coming back. And it's the raid time is really fun, but it's really everything that else that happens during the week. And the other teams that I've played on, it's always been like that. So maybe I've stole or adapted to their mentality of a raid team or an ops team, because in their discords it was constant chatter and constant conversation. So I almost want to bring that to this team as well, because there's been other teams that I've played on that aren't like that, and their discords are silent until raid day, and I feel like there's no connection with the team. I feel like it's I don't want to say the word soulless, but it's soulless. Everybody just shows up. They look at it as a job, where I look at it as a family. I enjoy every single person on this team, and if it gets to a point where I don't enjoy you anymore, you're gonzo, because you don't fit the mold of the family. It's just like regular life, right? If you have a friend that, is kind of a jerk, well, he's not really your friend. Move along. And this team has been constructed with awesome people, as you guys have heard tonight. So that's why I come back.
Which that's a fantastic answer, first of all. But going into our last one, obviously you guys all have you all have a quite the bond here. So what would you say is your most memorable moment in operations? Doesn't necessarily have to be with Deathstar Troopers, but of course that is indeed encouraged.
Can I go first?
Of course, it's your show. Do what you want.
Okay. My favorite moment of all time, believe it or not, it's gonna sound ridiculous. It was, we were in, I don't remember what op it was, but I jumped in. I did a countdown and then I stopped it like halfway through the countdown because I forgot to guard somebody, and I wiped the whole group. It was like an insta wipe, and that's probably one of my most memorable moments, because everybody just started laughing. Like, you can't do that. Like, once this is engaged, you can't do that. And it just shows how this team has so much fun. But part B of that is, when I was doing this story mode thing, I think this might be pre Deathstar Troopers. I tried to beat the Underlurker a million times. I mean, we tried and tried and tried, and like every team I was on couldn't do it.
I love that you brought this up.
And it was like I was beat up on it. And I was talking to, I think I was on Utini Cast, and I said that, and not minutes later, Doc actually messaged me and was like, "We're doing Temple of Sacrifice this week. Like, you're gonna win." And I was like, "Man, that it's like the DPS check is crazy. Like, maybe we don't have it." And we did it, and that changed everything for me. So those are probably my two most memorable moments. One where I wipe a whole team, and then beat the Underlurker for the first time.
I remember you freaking out after on that next week's podcast episode about beating the Underlurker. You were stuck on that for a long time.
Yeah, that was a long time in a galaxy far, far away.
Right.
So I really want to start with Beaux. What is your favorite moment in operations?
I actually have like a few. So before Deathstar Troopers, like a year and some change ago, I came back to Star Wars for like from like a 6 month break, and I actually met Kat and Ven, and we just hooked up with like a mutual group of friends. We're like, we're gonna get back into hard mode raiding, and we were progging Raptus. This is around the time when I think it was called Deadly Slash or something, or I can't remember the name of it, but it was bugged. It would hit you for more than the health you had, and so obviously Ven being on his jug, when both the tanks died, he picked it up and he survived well. I got cooldowns, and then he died, and then it was just me on my sniper, and we cleared it because Cat and I forget who the other healer was. Oh, Ozzy, shout out to him if he's listening, which I doubt, but Cat and Oz they kept me alive and we cleared that shit. It was pretty awesome.
That was really crazy.
It was crazy, wasn't it? And then what else? Last week was pretty nice because that first pull was like our second best pull the whole night, and then it was just kind of I don't know what it was in the middle, and there at the end I was just like, this is an achievement. Like I've been chasing these for 10 years, so that was pretty sweet and bittersweet because it was bitter and sweet. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I would also like to hear from Ted. What is your most memorable moment in operations?
Yeah, and like Beaux, I'm probably going to give you a couple of answers as well. I mean,
Sure.
the first one was like the from the time that at the very first operation that I did in Star Wars: The Old Republic, which was Eternity Vault. Right in that first year, and I just remember going into it and that opening cinematic, and then you had to get in these escape pods to land into the surface. I just thought it was like the coolest thing, and that you actually got in those escape pods and you see the pod landing, hurtling towards the surface. And I still to this day I will not spacebar through that, and so I just loved going into that operation for the first time. And I think as an introductory operation, I thought Eternity Vault was a very good, despite all the bugs it had in the beginning. Once they got all that ironed out, it was a very good introductory operation in any MMO. And so I just always have a great fondness for that one in particular. But then, as far as Deathstar Troopers, I mean, when I first joined the team, we were working our way through, I think it was Dread Fortress. Yeah. And they had been at it at least a month or two before I got there. And then, I don't know, we went at it for, I want to say 2, maybe 3 more months. So that first time that we killed Brontes was just, what an epic feeling that was. That was just a great night. And then, we went back and did it a couple of more times. And then it sort of opened the floodgates after that, where we just went into Terror from Beyond, Explosive Conflict. It just started banging out a few more of these hard mode operations. But that first Brontes kill was very, very rewarding. That just felt so good. And I'm sure the other team felt that way about it too. It was a big moment for us.
Yeah, I remember Marcus coming on the show and being so pumped that you guys finally killed Brontes.
That's how long we've been doing this show.
Right. So Katerina, what is your most memorable moment or moments in operations?
I feel like maybe I'm weird because I don't know that I really have anything specific. I mean, I don't know. I feel like this last year I've done a lot of things for the first time. I was really nervous for my other team. I'm a DPS, and I was super nervous to do that. I hadn't done that at all since my Marauder days, like 5 years ago. So learning the fights from different points of view has been really interesting the last year. And then just, yeah, I mean, like there's certain fights where you feel good that I'm sure people will scoff and laugh at this, but like the first time when you cleared like the Dread Council as a healer and like nobody suddenly dies with the death marks, that feels pretty good. Um, there's different things. I'm sure each class, each role has something that's really clutch that they need to learn, and when they do it the first time or they realize that they're doing it totally the right way, it feels really good. So I've had a number of those, I guess, with DPS. Like the healing I've been doing longer, and I had a lot of clears prior with healing. Just people would pull me into things, but I feel like the best part of it for me now is feeling like I have mastery over the level, if that makes sense. Like if somebody asks me to do a hard mode, I'll be like, sure, and I won't be nervous. You know.
Sure. That makes perfect sense. So, Ven, what is your most memorable moment in operations?
I think I have a few of like my very specific moments. The first one being the first op I happened to run with Cat. It was a 16-man explosive conflict run. And I was there as a DPS on a skank tank back when that was a thing, when you could do those in ops, which you still can, it's just more difficult. And, well, here now I'm 4-manning ops as a DPS class, but that's later. I was able to handle both of the tanks in 16-man mode, and then that was kind of my defining moment, like, okay, I actually think I can do this stuff. So that's what my real first big achievement, memorable moment was for me in raiding. And then a more recent one with Deathstar Troopers is when we were doing Scum and Villainy a few weeks ago. And then, as Doc mentioned on Utini Cast, I was showing off my ADHD and running in and out of the room for O-Lock, and then they started the pull and I was outside of the room. And then so I just meditated in the hall while they were all in there getting slaughtered. And it was very amusing. And then another, I feel like might be my favorite memory is when Doc, Cat, and then whoever was running with us at the time, whether it be Medulla, shout out to Medulla, or one of Doc's personal friends, when we have been 4-manning the story mode ops, and me doing sort of the tank work on a DPS class. So come on, Marcus, step up your game.
Boom.
Yeah, that's been fun. We've been proving how easy this content really is and taking it to its limit.
Well, I would actually argue that really quickly, that it's not that the content's that easy, it's that you guys know your classes so well and you're able to do it because you guys know your classes so well.
Well, it's also outthinking the fights, I think. We have to like
Yeah.
do different things, and that's kind of fun.
It's like a create your own hard mode in situations where you can't run an op, so you step down the difficulty, but you increase it by not having the right roles and not having the right number of people. So yeah, I love doing that with you, Ven and Kat.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's like it's a good time. It really tests our limit as a player. Like Doc over here, when we were doing explosive conflict, he would be tanking Stormcaller on the Sork because Sork tank's overpowered in that fight, and it just really tests your mettle and how well you can play your class. And I've really been enjoying that challenge.
That is awesome. I think that's really cool. So Kione, would you like to chime in on what your most memorable moment in operations has been?
I'm kind of in the same boat as Kat, whereas I don't quite have one that defines like completely in my mind for everything. But
Sure.
the council fight, when we beat it the first time going in there, like obviously we had a couple of wipes because I hadn't rated it for, I don't know, since it came out. I went in there once before, killed it with another group, and then I haven't done any hard modes for years since then, since I had my son. And then once we cleared that fight, and I don't remember if somebody died, I can't quite remember that, but we managed to get through it and we got to the end, so that one kind of sticks out the most, I guess.
I get you. That makes sense. I feel like it's kind of tough to go through some of the memorable moments when the rest of your team has already done so too. You know. That being said, Slayer, I'd like to hear from you as well. What is your most memorable moment in operations?
Oh, like Kat and Kione, I can't say that I have a single moment really that I say, oh, that's super memorable. I mean, I remember my first Nightmare boss kill where I was playing a healer of all roles with my old guild leader. She's like, hey, my group needs someone to, can you come help out? I'm like, yeah, what do you need me to do? We need a healer. Wait, what? Are you sure? Yep. And then we end up killing it. And this is 2.4, so this is Writhing Horror. This is Nightmare TFB when it was at its hardest. Um, I remember the first killing of Revan in hard mode. That was super fun. I remember doing moments where we're in TFB hard mode and we're doing Dread Guards, and one of our DPS has taunt, so he keeps pulling off one of the ads, and we just keep, all right, fine, let's just keep ping ponging the ads around. Let's not do the fight even close to correct. And we're all laughing, we're all joking about it, and we're just cruising through this, and it's not even a competition at all. And then I also remember going into EC, or no, not EC, EV for the first time, the drop pods going down and learning the mechanics of, okay, you got to move this, you got to move that, especially getting to Soa. And hey, you got to look for the pillar, find where the shadow is, drag him over to the shadow, and make sure the shadow hits the boss for when the pillar falls. Otherwise, we can't beat the fight.
Right.
It's easy.
Now,
no
yes.
problem.
Well, Nick. Okay, I guess we didn't ask Nick, but I remember when Nick came into Eternity Vault for the first time, and he took the plunge on the stairs.
Oh, I
He fell to his
100%
death.
did. I was
He
like,
fell to his death.
oh, you just jump across, right? Oh yeah, all the way down. I was like, okay, can I go back? No, you're just dead for the whole fight. Oh, that was fun. Yeah, and also, obviously, I haven't done too many operations, but I'm. I think it was Max on a mandatory fun night. We went. I don't remember the name of the operations, but it was like, hey, there's gonna be big lightning that'll flash on and flash off, like
Oh, the cubes in Terraform Beyond.
Yes, the cubes. It was like, hey, make sure you see where the lightning is, and then don't stand there because they're gonna come back and kill you. And I'm like, okay, no problem, got it. See the lightning on the cubes. Don't go in there. That's like and then of course that's the first thing I did was walk right where the lightning was and get zapped and die. So that was funny too. But the few operations I've done, I've really enjoyed that whole like just the team aspect. I mean, all my favorite sports that I played are team oriented, and that's why I like paintball so much. So I absolutely can understand how you all like operations so much. But I've got one more person I want to hear from though. Dr. Swtor, bring us home here. What has been your most memorable moment or moments in operations?
All right. Well, I'm trying to have the most working class nerdy way of answering this question I possibly can. And I got to listen to everyone on the team go through this. And I've been thinking about all the memories that I've had in Swtor since I started doing operations. I'm having like a Dr. Manhattan kind of moment where it's like, it's 2014. My friends are on this team. We beat Revan for the first time. It's last week. We get through Operator 9 on Nightmare. I never thought I'd do that. It's 2017. I'm in a new state away from my friends. We kill Isaacs for the first time in story mode. And like all those times where the webcam is in my face because I'm probably streaming and everyone can see my face light up in a way that it really doesn't that often. It's like surprise. It's like I didn't think we could do that, but oh my gosh, it happened. Because when you're just trying to hit the buttons and defeat some of these bosses, you don't have time to think about how much you hope that it happens. Just something clicks and a boss where you can't get it past 7% is suddenly at 2, 1, 0, and everyone's just like, oh. So like the first time I cleared Isaacs on story mode and veteran mode, when Lady Ran and Kogus banded together to help me get the Wings of the Architect, beating Brontis on Nightmare. Marcus, the way his voice sounded when we pulled veteran mode Brontis and we killed her, he said something like, "We got it." but it wasn't excited. It was like all the pressure, like the pressure in a basketball being released. Like it sounded like he was speaking and everything was just lifting off from the last 6 months. I'll never forget the way his voice sounded when he said that. You know, there's been so many teams that I've been on, and like thinking about these fights, I remember who was in the team, you know, doing the bad feeling Thursday night run, and Scrubly and Shad being the only one alive to down hard mode Kefis. And so many people on that team, that was their first time clearing it. It was just such a cool moment. We called it a game-winning shot, right? And I've had a couple of those too, where I'm the last one and I just pulled it out. And sometimes I'm in the batch of people that get sacrificed so someone else is all clear and can blow this thing and go home. And those are the coolest things that Swtor can possibly give us, in my opinion. So that's like my list of things, Nick.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone for coming on the show. We did it. We got through all of the questions and heard from everyone.
Thanks, everybody. You guys are one of the biggest parts of the reason why I signed into this game. So thanks for coming on the show, and can't wait for Sunday.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of Working Class Nerds.